In this lecture, we'll try to make the structure of our React app a little bit minimalistic. So we'll try to make it reasonable and not very complex and lengthy, so that the user won't face any difficulty when trying to understand how it works. Okay, so as I told you before, React works like a hierarchy. It works in a hierarchical manner. So first of all, it has a parent, then it has a children, and then the children keeps on forming so long as you want it to be forming. So you can have like multiple layers, and as long as, like you want it to form, it can form, as long as you want it to be. So these children can be functions, can be components, and it depends on you, like what you want to create in these children. So you don't need to touch the index.html, as I told you before. In the whole React app, we use only one render, and all the code inside it runs on your browser. So if you see this small program, it has a code of 3 lines, but when we have to make our web application with different pages and content and so on and so forth, it won't be a good practice to code all of this in a function, right? So yeah, obviously, like no one does that. Obviously, you would consider making different components and will call those components when you need them. So that's how we'll try to make it a little minimalistic. Okay, so I'm removing this part. I'll put this in fragments. And now we should make one function, one component, and all the content we should call here. Okay, so whatever will be in the function will be rendered. Okay, if we remove this, then our browser is totally clear. We'll make a file and we'll name it app.js. So do you remember, like when we made the React app, then one file was formed by default with the name app.js. So that file was basically for exactly that. So you put everything in that file to call it, in order to call it with React.render. But I wanted to teach you about the basics, so that's why I deleted that file. Okay, so now I'll tell you how you can make a structure or hierarchy in the React app. And now, as you can see, I made a React.js file. So I write the traditional boilerplate, import React from React. You will have to write this if you want to use JSX. Yeah, like if you want to use JSX, you have to write this. So here we'll write function app and we'll write return. This is a function we've made, so we're going to export it. Okay, now we have exported it. We want to display this content at this place. We remove it here so we can display it here. Okay, I'll write import app. Now we'll call it. And now, as you can see, this is the method, and this method is better, or the previous one that we wrote all of the code in the render function. So I think this method is better actually, as you make separate components, and we'll write content there, and whatever will be inside it, I'll call it from there. So I'll call it here. Okay, now we'll go back to app.js, and I will write h1 hello, how are you? I save it. Now we'll go to the browser and see the changes. So just observe how each hierarchy has been formed. So first of all, this is the parent, then we have all of these. Okay, so we can add here this as well. So for example, we go to user, we'll remove it as we're not using props. So we'll write my name is Mark, and I'll write I'm a web developer, and we've exported it here. So now we'll call it here in app.js. We'll write import from users. We'll call it. We'll put fragments here as we're using more than one. Okay, so we'll put this code in React fragment. We'll call it here and just see the changes. So its content has been displayed. Okay, do you understand how hierarchy has formed? So we had this parent and then we called it, and whatever will be present in app will be rendered. So now you can see that we call a lot of components in app, and after that you have the user. So we imported user here. So as you can see, the hierarchy has been formed. React basically works in this way, such that you make a structure in which you have a parent and have a children, and you can decide how much how far you need to go with the children, like how many components you want in a child. Okay, so you can see that it moves in a line from the top to the bottom, and the parent cannot directly access the third child. The parent moves to its first child, then that child moves to its child, then you can access the component that you need. So this is basically how it works. Alright, and now on to the next lecture.